Hello friends, welcome to the lecture on variable scoping. Today we will see what are the different ways we can declare or we can define a variable. So let's get started. The three different keywords that can be used are my, r, and local. So remember friends, there are three ways you can define a variable in Perl, that is my, r, and local. So let us understand each of these in detail. Whenever you define a variable using my keyword, the variable remains or is active in that particular scope where that variable was defined. Usually these variables have statically scoped, these are usually statically scoped variables. Now, what are local variables? When you define a variable local, that particular variable is available in that particular function as well as subsequent functions that are called within that particular functions. Usually local variables are defined or are used inside subroutines. So in this particular case, when we used local variable or when we defined $var as local variable, this particular variable is also accessible in this particular function which is called from the subroutine hello. We will see this when we actually execute the program. Coming to our last type of keyword, that is R. R creates global copies of these variables. So what happens is when we define a variable using R, that particular variable is accessed across packages. So you simply need to access that particular variable using the scope resolution operator, the package name, and the variable name. So the syntax would look something like this. So let's say if my variable is $var, my package name is variable scoping. So what I need to do is print my package name is variable underscore scoping. Okay, use the scope resolution operator followed by the variable name. So this will give me the variable at the global level. In this case, I've just used the syntax. Basically, those packages we'll discuss in the object oriented programming lecture. But as of now, you can understand if this is my package name, this is how I need to write in order to access this particular global variable or variables defined using R keyword. So now let's go ahead and see what we have done in our program. Here I've defined a variable. Let us first define it using my. Okay, so this is what the scope of that particular variable is. It is only within this particular scope. Inside the hello subroutine, I've defined this particular variable using local and the value is assigned as 10. Then I have another function which simply increments this particular variable. Now let's see when we execute this particular program, what exactly is the output we get. So we have got an error saying localize lexical variable, can't localize lexical variable. So what does this mean? Whenever we have a and my variable defined using my and a variable defined using local which has the same name, the my operator or the my keyword will take more precedence and hence we cannot localize the same variable name inside the subroutine. In case you want to still do that, what you need to do is you simply need to make this particular variable as global variable, and when we execute it we'll get the desired output. So what has happened here, we have declared our variable as R, so this becomes a global variable. Now dynamically, as I said, my are statically scoped variables and local are dynamically scoped variables. So dynamically it has converted or it has created a local copy of $var which is being used inside this hello subroutine. It has printed here, so it has printed 10. Then the same particular value, as I said, if if a variable is defined as a local variable, that particular variable is accessible within that subroutine and subsequent subroutines which are defined inside or which are called inside that particular subroutine. So inside this subroutine we are calling a subroutine called as go. In that subroutine we are simply incrementing the value. So remember friends, we are not incrementing this particular value, but we are incrementing this particular value because of the local scope of that particular dollar var, and hence we have got 11 as the output. And finally, when this particular execution of this particular function is over, we have just simply gone ahead and printed the value of dollar var again. So in this case again we have got 4 because we have come out of the scope of the subroutine, and now we have the global copy of that particular dollar var variable. So 4 has got printed. So I hope the concept of my, local and R variables is quite clear. We'll quickly revise once again. With my and local, whenever we use my and local, remember, if you have the variables with the same name for my as well as local, it will give you an error. So in case you want to still use the variables with same name, so make sure you make your my as your global variable, because it will give you an error because those are statically scoped and these are dynamically scoped. As I said, whenever we define variables or declare variables using R, those variables are accessed across packages. Just you need to use the scope resolution operator along with the package name and the variable name. So you can use those variables across packages. Also within the package, if you have a condition where you are using the same variable name, so in the subroutine you are using a local variable or you are creating a local variable, that is pretty much possible only if you use global or if you use the same variable name or define the same variable name using the R keyword. So with this we come to the end of our lecture on variable scoping. I'll see you guys at the next lecture. Thank you.